All right, we're back here on the Sort of Sports podcast, episode 133. And the Philadelphia Eagles are your 2024 NFL champions, the winners of Super Bowl 59. Honestly, a round of applause is in order. Wow. That game last night. Good night. 40-22. And that's even closer than it should be because the Eagles had 16 there late. It really was more like 40-6. Or I guess you could say like 34-6. Whatever you want to say. It was an absolute BTA in the Super Bowl. Like flat out belt to ass. The Eagles dominated the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, they flat out dominated them. And I sat here, I didn't do, oh my gosh, I mean, I haven't done, I love the Super Bowl. You guys know this. I've loved the Super Bowl for years. I've always done 2 episodes for the Super Bowl. I was always that excited. Last time I haven't done that, oh my gosh, it was the Super Bowl 55. I mean, the 2020 Super Bowl. Like, well, it would have been 2021, but you know what I mean, like the 2020 season Super Bowl. So apparently whenever I don't do a double episode talking about it is when it's not as good because those are probably the 2, like out of the Super Bowls in the 50s that weren't good. It's like Super Bowl 50, which was Broncos dominating Panthers, and then Super Bowl 53, which were the Patriots dominating the Rams, and then 55, which were the Bucs dominating the Chiefs, and then this one, 59. We've seen all the Super Bowls in the 50s now. 4 of them weren't very good. And those are the 4. So the rest of them I would be like, it's a pretty good Super Bowl. I mean, like 56 I think is really great. 57's on the lower end, still pretty good. 58's obviously an elite one. And then like 51 is like the best. 52 is up there, I'd say. 52 is probably in range with like 58 and 54. I really like Super Bowl 54. I think Super Bowl 54 might be this. Is it the second best? 58's probably second best. Or 52. It's like 58 and 52, I'd say. Maybe 52 is the second best, and then 58 is third. I think that's how I would crank out. Yeah, 51 is 52. I mean, man, we were cooking then. We were just absolutely cooking. But enough of me saying that. I didn't even record another podcast. I was pretty much just disappointed with the whole shebang. It was the worst case scenario in my mind. I didn't really care either way. I felt like the Chiefs were locked for a three-peat. Felt like the 2 best teams in the AFC. I have pretty much talked trash on this Eagles team the entire year. I mean, episode 122, how good are the Eagles really? That was the first time I kind of acknowledged, like, hey, this team might be pretty legit. They'd been winning a lot of games. I didn't really talk heavily about the Eagles to episode 122, which that episode came out December 17th. So less than a month left in the season is when I started acknowledging the fact that they were doing pretty good. Like, I just didn't really care. I didn't think they were going to be that good. I thought it was going to be like last year, and I was wrong. I mean, that team just won the Super Bowl in dominating fashion. I mean, the most dominant we've seen since Tom Brady dominated the Super Bowl. And I do think we were due for a stinker Super Bowl. We've been having some really good runs. But I did not. If you would have said, hey, it's going to be a blowout, just be ready, I would have been like, man, the Chiefs really did them that bad. Like, you would naturally assume the blowout was the Chiefs blowing out the Eagles, and no. And the thing was all year, I mean, I said at some point this year, I'm sure of it, because I remember thinking it, and I'm sure I said it at some point. The Eagles are the best team on paper. I just don't really love their coaching. And I have to give Sirianni credit where credit's due. They won the Super Bowl, and it wasn't like I figured this. If the Eagles won, it's because Saquon had the greatest game ever. Saquon didn't even play that well. He didn't play bad. He didn't play that well. I mean, the Chiefs, it felt like game planned all around Saquon, and so then everything else did good. I mean, there's an argument, honestly, that MVP should have went to Zach Bond or Cooper DeJean because the defense is really what won them the game. But anymore, it's really hard to win if you're not a quarterback. Because if it's like a team win, like everybody played well, the team just did good, it's most likely going to be the quarterback. Like, to be Super Bowl MVP and not be the quarterback Because the default is the quarterback. It's like, great win, guys. MVP goes to the quarterback. To be Super Bowl MVP and not be the quarterback, you got to just, like, have, like, an incredible game. Like, you have to be carrying the offense or carrying the defense. Like, if Cooper DeJean had 2 interceptions, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, if Zach Bond had 2 interceptions, I think that would be the only real way for it to happen. Or, like, a ton of sacks, or, a forced fumble and another turnover. Whereas the default is always going to be, and that's not me saying Hurts played bad, but I'm saying it's not like it's the most dominating Super Bowl MVP. I mean, there's an argument for other guys, but I get it. I mean, there was an argument Super Bowl 54. It should have been, was his name Damian Williams? Or Damian Hill? Something like that. The Chiefs running back that game. Like, he played pretty well. Like, undeniably. So, like, he did really well. But then Mahomes had that legacy drive that won him the Super Bowl in Super Bowl 54. But, yeah, props to the Eagles. Props to Hurts. I really thought the Chiefs were going to three-peat. I was pretty much ready to see it. I was like, I guess we're doing it, right? And I have to own up. At the beginning of the year, I mean, I said, I remember saying, I said it even before I recorded. Like, I was so sure in this opinion. I was like, yeah, it's cool the Eagles got Saquon, but that doesn't make me any more afraid of them. Like, it doesn't really matter to me. Like, I don't really feel any different about this team. I still don't think they're that great. They just won the Super Bowl. Like, they just won the Super Bowl. So I can't, I was 100% wrong on that. I was. And so props to them for proving me wrong. I think a lot of people were surprised by the results last night. I do think you'd be a little too quick to be like, yeah, Hurts is the best quarterback in the NFC. I still would put, honestly, I think Daniels is, if he doesn't take too much of a sophomore slump next year. And then I'd still probably put Stafford there, but he's kind of definitively third. And if you said he's number 1, like, I don't think I get too mad at you. I mean, I get it. I do. I mean, the NFC hasn't won the Super Bowl since Tom Brady was there. And before that, it was Nick Foles. That's kind of weird, isn't it? Like, you look at every Super Bowl since 50. All the runs through 50 to 59. In the span of 10 years, your Super Bowl champions were either the Eagles or Tom Brady. Tom Brady was there for every NFC championship winner. Because he played for one, he lost to the other one, and then he was here for this game to watch the Eagles win. So that's kind of weird. The AFC got 7 of the 50s, and the NFC got 3. 2 to the Eagles, 1 to Tom Brady in the Bucs. It's kind of weird. I mean, the Eagles anymore are probably, I think at this point, the argument would be that they are the best run franchise in the NFC since 2000. I mean, 3 Super Bowl appearances this century. 2 wins. 4 Super Bowl appearances this century. 2 wins. I mean, that's what? I mean, the Saints have 1 win. It's not the Saints. The Packers, I think, would be the big one, but they only have 1 win this century. So, kind of interesting. So far, it's been the Eagles. But it was weird. So, full disclosure, I did get to travel to work the Super Bowl this year, and that was really enjoyable. I really enjoyed that. And we were sitting there in the stadium seats. It's about 10 in the morning. I'm sitting there with my buddy Braden. He's been on the podcast before, Braden Hayes. And we had both kind of agreed we thought the Chiefs were going to win and three-peat. And he's like, we're sitting there. It was really cool. I got to sit there and look out on the field at the Caesars Superdome, which is just an incredible stadium. Absolutely incredible. And we're sitting there talking to each other, and all of a sudden he's like, I think the Eagles are going to win. I was like, what? He's like, the whole week I thought, yeah, Chiefs are going to three-peat. I was mentally preparing myself for it. He's like, when I'm sitting here right now, it just feels off. He's like, I just feel like it's going to be fly, Eagles, fly. He's like, it just feels weird. I was like, okay, well, you believe that. I'm like, I think the Chiefs are going to win. Like, I just kind of decided in my mind they were going to win. And he was right. He just had some vibe shift, he said. He was like, all the media is going the Chiefs' way. They're barely talking about the Eagles. No one's really talking about this game because everybody's just kind of written off that the Chiefs are going to win. He's like, the Eagles are going to strike. That's exactly what happened. It's exactly what happened. And I think, obviously the NFL's better off if it's a close game. But this was a nice reset for the NFL. we'd gotten to the point with the Chiefs where it was out of hand, right? Everybody wants to talk about the refs. Everybody's just like, it doesn't even really matter. Like, this game wasn't that hyped up because there's nothing to talk about. Like, because it felt like everybody was just like, yeah, the Chiefs will win somehow. Like, it doesn't matter what happens, they'll win because that's how it always goes. And then it didn't. Like, they actually played a normal game where they just, they didn't have the random BS happen. Like, they didn't just magically win. They got dominated. Like, absolutely dominated. And that was incredible to see. And so it was a nice little reset for the NFL. And I hope that momentum can carry into next year. And when I do my blind prediction for Super Bowl 60, it will include that. Like, it'll factor in. But I believe we're going into a bit of a reset here. And let's talk about it for Mahomes before we do the Eagles. So the Chiefs, that is probably Mahomes' worst game ever. I really struggle to find a game that was worse for him. As far as postseason, right? I mean, like, maybe we could point to like a certain regular season game and we could pick holes in it. But as far as a singular playoff game, Super Bowl is definitely his worst performance. Like, let's pull up against the Bucs. They lost 31-9. Okay, he went 26 for 49 with 270 yards, 2 interceptions, no touchdowns, took 3 sacks, had a QBR of 42.2. It's pretty bad. Against the Eagles, they lost 40-22, which I honestly think was worse. If you watched it, it felt worse. 21 for 32, 257 yards, so a higher completion percentage. 3 touchdowns, which is better than last. 2 interceptions, which is the same as last. But here's the big thing that pops out. His QBR was an 11.4. Against the Bucs, it was 42.2. Against the Eagles, an 11.4 QBR. It's awful. That's awful. I think it's the lowest QBR he's ever had in his career, period. I'm going to look through every one of his games right now, see if we have a lower number. Has he ever had a lower QBR than 11? I mean, I'd be shocked. That's like the type of stuff Bryce Young was putting up before he like magically fixed himself. Here it is. A 27-3 loss to the Tennessee Titans. He had a 9.9 QBR. This game was played on October 24th, 2021. Oh my gosh, I remember this game. So it was Sunday in Tennessee. This was the year that Tennessee was the 1 seed, and they lose the Bengals in the playoffs. Mahomes played awful. He's got 1 interception, no touchdown, went 20 for 35 with 206 yards, a QBR of 9.9, okay? Really bad. Then that next week is when they beat the Giants 20-7, a bad Giants team. And that was when they did that. I just remember that clearly. It was on Monday Night Football, and they were like, this is where we turn it around. And they did. They didn't lose again until in January they lost to the Bengals. But after that, they went on a, 8-game win streak, then lost to the Bengals, and then beat the Broncos last week of the season, then met back up with the Bengals in the AFC Championship and lost in overtime. And now Mahomes is in an interesting spot. Because I remember when they played in Super Bowl 55, and I was rooting for them. I mean the Chiefs. I was like, wow, if he beats Brady this early, this is going to be a big part of the GOAT debate. And Brady rocked him. Now, granted, Brady wasn't playing defense, but Brady completely outplayed him. But there was the argument, hey, that line wasn't as good, blah, blah, blah. If he three-peats, that's something Brady's never done. That was the big piece. If he could three-peat, he'd be doing something Brady's never done. And he didn't. And Brady went 10 Super Bowls, went 7-3. He lost to Eli Manning twice and Nick Foles once. And every single one of those games are a one-score game. Mahomes now been blown out of 2 Super Bowls. Barring something incredible, I struggle to find a way we're going to be able to argue that he's better than Brady all time. I think it's going to be definitively Brady. And I'm kind of comforted in that because I didn't really feel like having football's equivalent of the LeBron-Jordan debate. I like that football kind of just has a definitive GOAT. I think that's just kind of nice. And it seems like that's what we're going to move back towards. Unless like they do something crazy next year. But I don't see this team going back to the Super Bowl. I feel like they put all their effort in this, all their eggs in this basket. I think they're all shot. Like I do. And I'm not going to be bad next year. Don't get me wrong. But there's no way they can keep this momentum up. I mean, this year felt weird and fluky, and it feels like we kind of gotten reset back to earth. Because this is the type of team I figured that it felt like the Chiefs were all year, where they weren't really that good, and they couldn't put the ball downfield, and they couldn't, do these things. But then magically they'd win. And this was how I expected them to be playing all year, which is not very good. Now, granted, not that terrible. I mean, they played terrible. But I didn't expect them to keep winning the games they were. And we finally, it's like the real Chiefs came out to play. It was weird. They finally played the way like I thought they should be playing. It just happened at the exact worst possible time. And congratulations to the Eagles. I mean, and good for Saquon, right? It's a monumental pickup. I love the Super Bowl every year, and this was like some of the least excited I've been for one. Oh my gosh, just the least excited I've been for one, period. Because like 52, I was excited because I thought the Nick Foles thing was fun. 53, I was really not amped. Like I didn't really care to see the Rams win. I didn't like Jared Goff then. Like I disliked Jared Goff then. It wasn't even like I didn't really mess with him. Like I disliked him then. Yeah, 53 was pretty rough. And now I'm back on the streak of not predicting the Super Bowl correctly. Because, what? So, 54, I picked the Chiefs. I was right. Then 55, 56, 57. I got them all wrong. And then 58, I finally struck gold again. I took the Chiefs. And I was like, okay, we're not messing around anymore. And the Chiefs are in this one. We're taking the Chiefs. They're going to three-peat. And then obviously they did not. So we're back on me being incorrect. I've been more wrong than right, and it's continuing to pile up against me. So as far as ones I've predicted in the podcast, I count 54 even though we didn't record a podcast episode just because, that was the first Super Bowl I remember, I really paid a ton of attention. And so, I watched every single week, and I had thoughts every single week. And so I count that one as kind of like the start of my predictions mattering. What does that make me? 2 for 6, right? Oh my gosh. That's not elite numbers from me. Good night. But that's it. I mean, that's the Super Bowl. It's just kind of weird. It's weird that the NFL season ended like this. I got an episode coming out for you guys next week. Very excited to get it all recorded. So that'll be fun. But that's it. I mean, as far as the NFL season goes, I think it was another excellent one. We are on an extreme hot streak with the NFL. I think last year was a better overall season. I do. I think this one kind of felt like a continuation of last year. It felt like a sequel. Like if I had I don't know if this makes sense, but in my mind, the way the narrative's been lining up, it's like 2021 is like a weird spinoff year. And we got like the Bengals and the Rams and there's a bunch of plot lines that ended up not being super important down the road. Like the Titans were the 1 seed that year. Like just a bunch of stuff happened that didn't end up being that important, right? And then 2022, 2023, and 2024 kind of felt like they all really connected. It's like they were a part of a trilogy. We got to watch the Eagles rise and fall and rise again. And we get to watch the Chiefs' dominance. And we get to watch them be defeated. We watched them become villains. They really weren't villains until, I think, Super Bowl 57. So they started becoming villains. And then 58, it was palpable. And this was the biggest villains they've ever been. Like, nobody I knew wanted them to win. Everybody just wanted to see them lose. And so I think we've hit a bit of a reset here on the narrative. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens next year. Which brings me to my annual blind prediction. For those of you who don't know how this works, the end of every year when I do my Super Bowl pod, I do my annual blind prediction where I pick the next year's Super Bowl matchup with zero concept of what will happen this offseason. Last year I predicted Texans-Packers, a move that I then followed up on in my regular season predictions that I do in August, the week before the NFL starts. And that was definitely not correct. One of those teams went to the divisional, and the other one lost in the wild card. I actually think the Packers were better than the Texans this year. But I'm going to do something dangerous again. I always think it's more fun to be dangerous. I want to do Bills-Lions. I do. It's what my heart wants. It's what I'd love to see. But I think we're going to do something a little different. We're going to try to be a little dangerous here because it's more fun. I will say, side prediction, I think we're going to start adding the halftime show if I have an interesting pick. If I don't have an interesting pick, I won't do it. But I do really feel like they're going to do Sabrina Carpenter. I just think it makes a lot of sense. Oh, yeah, we didn't talk about the halftime show. I really like Kendrick Lamar. You guys know this. I'm a big fan. As far as the show goes, I think it was pretty good. I thought it was fun having Samuel L. Jackson. I'm a big Serena Williams fan, so it was cool. But by the nature of it, like, people are like, oh, it's not as fun as, the Usher show was. It's like, yeah, it's just by the nature of it. Like, Usher's making very different type of music than Kendrick Lamar. Like, we knew what we were getting when we signed up for Kendrick Lamar, correct? Like, do people not really understand that? I'm saying it was never going to feel the way that, like, other Super Bowl. It's not like a big party with him. It kind of is with some of his newer stuff, but, like, it's, I don't know. I think we're overthinking. It was what I expected it to be from him, which is good. Like, I enjoyed it. I didn't expect him to get up there and start doing Money Trees. Does that make sense? Like, I figured he was going to play a lot of his newer stuff. I felt lucky we even got Humble and DNA. I was really happy to hear Euphoria. You knew he was going to do Not Like Us, and that was fun, and it really was like a nice bookend on the whole chapter with Drake and all that. And obviously we all knew he won it anyway, and this just definitively sealed that. And so it was fun. I wouldn't say it's like my favorite one ever. I think the better done rap one was the 56 one, but that one was really elite. Like, they did a really good job on that. So, I'm not disappointed at all. As a big Kendrick Lamar fan, I was happy with it. But I think next year they're doing Sabrina Carpenter. Just think it makes way too much sense. She had a massive year. She's got a ton of, like, popular songs. And you're striking while the iron's hot. I understand people, like, usually seem to do it a couple years out of there after their prime, but sometimes you can strike while the iron's hot and really get something special. And so I do think it's going to be Sabrina Carpenter next year. That is my official prediction. As far as the game itself, I thought about going Bills over Commies, but I just want to go real ballsy. Let's do Commies over Bills. The reverse of what this year's could have been. We take the AFC and NFC championship losers, and we put them in the Super Bowl. I'm going to do Commies over Bills. Here's the way we get to this point in my mind. The Commies should not make the mistake of, oh, wow, our rookie is great. Let's go get, this wide receiver to add to our team that we don't really need. That's what the Browns did of Baker, and they got Odell Beckham Jr. That's what the Texans did of Stephon Diggs. You don't need to do that. So if the Commies do that, I'm going to be really mad. But I honestly think there's a chance Jay Daniels is going to start dominating this NFC. I really do. And part of me wanted to take the Panthers to be here. But I'm not going to get too excited yet. If we make the playoffs next year, then maybe my blind prediction for 61 will be the Panthers. But I'm going to take Commies over Bills as my blind prediction. We'll see how I feel about it in August. But that would be a really fun Super Bowl. I'd actually probably be rooting for the Bills to win it, if we're being honest. I don't even know why I said probably. I would be rooting for the Bills to win it if it was Commies Bills. But I think I would also talk myself into the Bills winning that. And then thus I would be wrong and the Commies would win. So that's what I'm saying right now. Commies over Bills in San Francisco next year's Super Bowl. It's going to be awesome. That is it from me. It's been an awesome NFL season. We're going to do specialty pods the next few weeks before we get into March Madness. So I haven't decided which topic we're doing next week. I got two in my mind. One will be next week. One will be the week after. I guess I have three topics in my mind. I take that back, which is good because I need it. Because March Madness is going to be, I think it starts that weekend of the 21st, 22nd. So that would be the week of the 16th we'd be doing. So we need a pod for this week. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we need 4 pods, and I have 3 ideas. So I'll have to figure out what the fourth one's going to be. I'll figure it out. But But yeah, we're going to do a specialty pod next week. I'll surprise you with the topic. Hopefully you enjoy. And if this was the first episode you ever listened to because you saw me because of the Barstool post video of me blowing up, thanks for sticking around this long. It's very kind. Congratulations to Philadelphia Eagles. It's quite the surprise. Good for them. Proud for them. And Eagles, Eagles. Did I do it right? I didn't really have, like, the sauce, I think. Sauceless.